Hello, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Huddle. Today is Sunday, August 18th. Hopefully, everybody is doing well. Week 2 of the preseason, lots of NFL action, only 2 more games left tonight, and then we will be heading for week 3, and then the regular season shortly thereafter that. Only 3 weeks away from the start of the NFL regular season, 3 weeks from today. You will be getting your fantasy lineups ready. You'll be just about an hour out from football at the time of this recording. So, really exciting times. Episode 25. Make sure to please like and subscribe. DiMari, we've got a lot to discuss. How's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Interesting how we're kind of it's hard not to laugh about it. We were just talking about it off air, but interesting set of games yesterday with some with some of the quarterback play.
Yeah.
But that give us topics, that give us some content to talk about. So other than that, it felt good to have a full slate of NFL yesterday. Of course, we only got 2 games today at 8, but we are a week closer. After we wrap up today, we got one more week of preseason football, and then starting on first Thursday in September, we are talking about football, like regular season football. So we're almost there. We're so close. So I am so ready for the regular season to start.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy. Just right around the corner will be, before you know it, you'll get the first Thursday night game. And then, of course, you'll have the Eagles, Packers, and Brazil on that Friday. And then you'll of course start things up with full Sunday slate, and then Monday night, of course, Jets Niners. So great time to be a football fan. Football is pretty much here. It's pretty much back. Yeah, there's a lot to get into from yesterday. A lot of quarterback play, some good, some really, really, really bad. So we'll break it all down. But we got to start with one of the biggest stories this week, and that was with the Atlanta Falcons and the New England Patriots, as Matthew Judon got traded to Atlanta. On top of that, the Falcons also signed free agent safety Justin Simmons, who was on the market for a little while. He finally finds a new home. Not really surprised that he found a new home here kind of midway through August. He was kind of waiting it out, seeing which teams would maybe become desperate if there was any injuries. I think we all knew Justin Simmons would get signed, but we'll start with Matthew Judon. Of course, the holdout was kind of doing the hold in. Some days was practicing, some days wasn't. He had the one day where he talked to Coach Gerard Mayo and then left practice. So you could tell the situation there in New England was kind of getting a little there was definitely a disconnect between the organization and Judon with his contract. And you kind of felt like a trade or something along those lines was on the horizon. And it happens. Judon, after spending 3 seasons in New England since 2021, gets dealt here to the Atlanta Falcons. It feels a little bit like the Falcons. I don't know if I want to say rich gets richer, because their defense wasn't dominant before this, but it feels like a team that has made plenty of moves this offseason, have put themselves back on the map. Just add 2 more key pieces to their team. Judon trade, Falcons trade away 2025 third-round pick to New England for Judon. What is your thoughts? I mean, I have my thoughts on this. I love it for the Falcons, I'll be honest. And I know there's kind of been some mixed reactions on social media and all that stuff as to not so much who won this trade, but if it was the right deal for New England, if it was the right thing to do to trade one of their pieces. There's people that think, yes, it was. He's not a future piece. And then there's people that think, well, he was kind of the face of the franchise. He was your best player. Why do you deal him? And I kind of fall into that boat. I hate this trade for the New England Patriots. But what was your thoughts on the trade from both sides?
Yeah, from New England side, it absolutely made no sense. And we talked about it last time on air, where you don't have anybody you're paying. Like, there's nobody under contract. There's nobody waiting contract extensions. Ramondre Stevenson just got his extension. And now all there's left to do is pay Judon, and you let him walk, which doesn't make no sense. But from New England side, I also kind of wonder if there was maybe a sit down behind the scenes. And it's kind of like, look, we don't see nothing getting done. And obviously, we're not going to be competitive. You are not the youngest. So we're going to trade you. We're going to trade you somewhere where we think you would be a good fit, and also does have a great chance of, being competitive, possibly reaching the Super Bowl. So I do see that side of it. But also at the same time, for New England, I mean, your team is young. Like, you got a bunch of rookies. Like, it feels like you're a newborn team. Like, you just expanded and you got all these fresh guys. And you let go your veteran, who is obviously, he was the leader of that team. I can't think of anyone else now that, like, really the leader of that team's kind of bring the team together and just lead the group to lead the group and kind of make them aware of like the situations that they're in, of like, we got to be competitive, we kind of got to band together, that type of stuff. So I don't get it for New England, but for Atlanta, I mean, I like it. You are in the NFC. You have offenses that you're going to play with Dallas this year. Now, obviously, the Niners in NFC. You get the Lions in NFC. Packers are pretty good offensively. You need defense. Like, you need a defense that is going to be able to not only keep you competitive, but win you some games. So for Atlanta, this is the team that we've known has not been the best defensively for quite some time. So you go get Judon, you go get Simmons. I mean, I think you said it perfectly. Rich get richer. That defense looks great. Now they're just banking on Kirk Cousins staying healthy, and the offense just looking good.
Yeah, the defense for a while there, for last couple of seasons, it was a weakness for Atlanta. Last year turned into a little bit more of a strength, especially with the additions, of course, of Jesse Bates going back to last offseason, coming over from Cincinnati. He had a very, very, very good season. Was ninth in the NFL in solo tackles, was sixth or third in interceptions with 6. He was top 15 in forced fumbles. At 11 pass defended, was very good, very good last year. One of his best seasons of his career, even going back to his days in Cincinnati. So now you get Judon. Now you add Justin Simmons as well, which we'll get to here more in a second. But yeah, I agree with you on New England. And I understand the age factor. He's 32. He just turned 32 a couple days ago on August 15th. I get all that. But then again, he was still your face of the franchise. And this is a guy, too, that we said, I think it might have been last episode we talked about this, that has gotten better with age. His best seasons have come in New England. You look at his first 5 years in the NFL with Baltimore. He never had 1 year where he had over 10 sacks. And I know sacks aren't the end all be all, but just looking at the basis statistics, his best numbers have come in New England. 12 and a half sacks in 2021, 15 and a half last year, or 15 and a half in 2022. He only played 4 games last year, but he had 4 sacks in those 4 games. If he would have played the entire season, he was probably on his way to another 12 to 15 sack season, no doubt, because he was averaging a sack per game in the 4 games that he played. So I just don't get it from that perspective. Like, one of the worst rosters in the NFL just got even worse. I mean, they just traded away their best player. And it just, I get I disagree with the age take, because all these other Patriots fans and all these other people, oh, his age. He's gotten better with age. Like, I would trust giving Judon right now a potential 3-year deal, because he's shown you the last 3 years he's gotten better with age. So I don't know. That's just me. Maybe I'm hating the Patriots too much because I don't like the Patriots, but I think even if you're just an average NFL fan, or not even average NFL fan, and I know, DiMari, obviously you're a Cowboys fan. You don't have any major hatred, I would assume, towards the Patriots. Or
Oh no,
maybe you
you're
do.
wrong. I
You
hate the
hate the
Patriots.
Patriots.
They're
You hate the
group of
Patriots.
group of cheaters. Not even gonna get
Group of
into it,
cheaters. That is
but
true.
I hate the Patriots.
Yeah. But I just don't get it. I love it for the Falcons. They get just a dominant pass rusher, one of the better pass rushers in the game. I'm happy he's out of the division. So that's the Judon side of things. Then you go over to Justin Simmons, and we talked about Jesse Bates here, but now Justin Simmons and Jesse Bates as your safety duo. I mean, that is very, very dangerous for the Atlanta Falcons, and very dangerous to other NFL teams. Justin Simmons is a guy that, of course, has spent the entirety of his career in Denver. Still has put together some very good numbers, even as he's hit age 30. He'll be 31 in November, so he is getting older. But a guy that is very good in coverage as a safety, was the interceptions co-leader last year or 2 years ago in 2022, where he had 6 picks. He had 3 interceptions last year. So a guy that knows how to get the ball in his hands, a guy that's very good in coverage, 8 passes defended last season. What was your thoughts on this, as well as Atlanta brings in 2 years in a row now, brings in top tier safeties?
From a Cowboys perspective, I hated it. I absolutely
Yeah.
hated it, because these are 2 guys, kind of backtracking on Judon a little bit. These are 2 guys that you could have signed to, help your defense, help strengthen the defense, but also just for the case of before the Judon trade and Simmons signing, just called my dad and was like, "Hey, we need to buy our tickets for Atlanta, like the Atlanta game. I told you we're going to the Atlanta game when they play Dallas November 3rd." And of course, they decide to basically sign the Avengers ahead of our game. So like that's not fun to look forward to. But for Atlanta, I mean, yeah, I love it for Atlanta. You could argue, I want to say the best. I want to say the best safety duo, but they do have the possibility of both of those players stay healthy and also just play, sky's the limit for both of them. So for Atlanta, I mean, again, how I was kind of just saying, where the defense, you just need the defense to be competitive and you need the defense to keep you in games and you kind of let a healthy Kirk Cousins do his thing and you go win some games. You go win the division and you make a deep playoff run. So I think bringing over Simmons does that as well. Because again, in the NFC, I mean, like offenses are so high powered where it's almost like I kind of meant to say this last week as well. It's almost like we get a sense of like college football in the NFL now, kind of with just so much explosion around the NFL with players on different offenses where I think it's going to be high scoring. So for Atlanta, you do want a very good defense, especially in that conference that you're in. So, I mean, if those guys can stay healthy, I think we could be possibly looking at one of the better defenses in the league.
Yeah, no doubt. I think you were probably a little bit higher on the Falcons than I was going into this year. But I think after these moves, I've kind of officially jumped on the boat of I am. I mean, we'll do our division prediction show probably in the next 2 weeks or so, right before the season. But if I had to spoil one, I don't see how the Falcons don't win this division now. You added a prolific pass rusher. You added another edge rusher or another safety to pair with Jesse Bates in that secondary. And you've also already got some other solid pieces on that team to begin with, let alone we haven't even talked about the offense yet. I mean, you have Bijan Robinson who will actually be used properly this year with an actual offensive brains on that coaching staff. You have Kirk Cousins, of course, who is a significant upgrade over what they were dealing with last year with, Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke, of course. You have Drake London going into another season, year number 2 for him, or year number 3 actually for him. He's only getting better. He's got an actual quarterback now. You added Darnell Mooney. So we haven't even talked about the offense. The offense is also very, very dangerous. This is a very complete team. On paper, one of the more complete teams. Oh, yeah, Kyle Pitts as well, another name. Now, one thing I do not like or did not like about the Falcons was yesterday, and I know it's only preseason, but they didn't play Michael Penix. And Raheem Morris, head coach, said that they felt he did good enough in his first preseason game against Miami. They didn't really feel the need to throw him out there again yesterday. I just don't understand that. I think Michael Penix should be getting every single snap he can in preseason because bearing a Kirk Cousins injury, and maybe Kirk Cousins does get banged up for a week or two, or, we've talked about this with the Jets. If Rodgers misses a game or two, you could trust Tyrod stepping in. As a Falcons fan, you want to know in the back of your mind that if you hope that Penix gets all these preseason reps, gets a lot of these reps in training camp, and if Kirk does go down for a game or two, or maybe 3 games, that you can trust that Penix can come in and go 1-1 or 2-1 or something like that, kind of keep your head above water. But I don't know why I disagree with him not playing yesterday. He's not going to start. This is the time for him to get all the reps possible. This is the time for him to get in-game action. So I didn't understand that yesterday to not play him in a game that he should have been in. Like you play your rookies, you play the guys that aren't going to start, especially a quarterback. You want him to get all the in-game action as he can. What was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. It absolutely makes no sense. It kind of sounds like he has that QB2 spot locked up and they
Yeah.
trust him enough, and that's why they don't want to play him. But no, I mean, you still got to play him. You only seen one game of what he can do. And I mean, there's no way in that one game you are absolutely just 100% confident in him being QB2 and Kirk Cousins goes down and he's basically going to take control of the offense. Like, I just don't think that's the case for Atlanta. Or maybe that is the case for Atlanta, where you see Heineke literally play so bad against Miami. You're just like, okay, we already know it's going to be that QB2. Let's let the other guys kind of fight for a roster spot, that third spot, some practice squad guys, things like that. But I think he still needs a lot of reps. I mean, I probably would have played him at least a half or a quarter yesterday because This isn't a guy who is, 2 or 3 years in and you kind of know what you can get from him. This is a rookie. This is a rookie who doesn't even fully know the offense yet, still trying to get like full control of the offense. And it wouldn't have been bad to give him some reps with just say the first team wideouts if that's what they wanted to do, which is what they should have done. I mean, I don't get it, but obviously they know something we don't. But it sounds like he has that second spot locked up, and he will be the backup to Kirk Cousins. But if Kirk does go down, I don't think Penix will have enough like game like experience to kind of keep the offense afloat if Cousins is injured.
Yeah, and I know he had a great performance last week, and that's probably the Falcons' reasoning a little bit. Like, we already saw a ton out of him. We don't need to see him again. Maybe he'll go out there next week. I don't exactly know if they confirmed he'll play next week. We'll see. But and how about this for a thought? Like, let's see him continue to build on last week, right? He had a great performance. How does he bounce back? Does he go out there and do what he did again? Does he go out there and struggle? Does he go out there and, just put together a nice afternoon? Doesn't have to be great. Doesn't have to throw for over 100 yards like he did last week. But, what does he look like after a good performance? How is he able to bounce back? So I don't know. I just didn't love that, but I don't think that's really going to mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things for Atlanta. I just think from a rookie quarterback's development, I know for the Jets standpoint, like they've played Olu first preseason game. They played him yesterday, right tackle. Like you have a rookie that's not going to start. You play him as much as you can in the preseason to get those in-game reps because you don't know when the next time he's actually going to get in-game reps in the regular season if they're not going to start. So that's the Falcons overall positive other than that one Michael Penix probably questionable play time or whatever, questionable non-starting call there. Now we'll move on to a topic that's probably not as positive. We'll move back to rookie quarterbacks here a little bit. We'll talk about good quarterback play. We got to get through the bad quarterback play first, and that's Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. Daniel Jones's first start yesterday since coming off the torn ACL that he suffered last year. From what I've heard, it seems like so far, and I'll be actually out at Jets-Giants joint practice on Wednesday, so looking forward to that. So I'll see Daniel Jones out there again. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, although I'm not, of course, evaluating the Jets more so than I will be evaluating the Giants. But awful day. And I know he finished better than he did, but this is a guy that could have at least had 3 picks because there was 1 pick yesterday that was dropped. So he should have probably had 3 interceptions total. He only had 2, and they were 2 ugly interceptions. So I have the 2 clips here, but before we get into those 2 clips, what was your thoughts on his performance? Finished the day 11 of 18, 138 yards, 2 picks, passer rating of 45.4. Terrible. I mean, absolutely terrible. And it's been a talk around here, New York sports radio, about the possibility of him not starting the season at this point. Maybe they go to Tommy DeVito, who has looked okay, looked better, I thought, week 1 than he did yesterday in the preseason. But Daniel Jones, he was awful yesterday. Awful. And this is, I don't know. It just gets me frustrated that we are still talking about Daniel Jones. Like I just don't get it. This guy he's not a franchise quarterback. I just don't get why all these Giants fans, the Giants themselves, continue to pour everything into him every single season. This is it is crazy. This is year 6 of Daniel Jones. Technically year 5 as a total starter, but this is his 6th year in the NFL. This guy was drafted in 2019, and we're still sitting here talking about the same mistakes, the same problems, not looking good. I mean, this was preseason. He looked like this. What was your thoughts?
I mean, this might come back to bite me, but with Daniel Jones being the starting quarterback on the depth chart, that tells me at least there's 2 games that we have a chance to win every single year. So keep him on the roster as long as you want. But just to piggyback off your point, not only did you drafted him with the expectations to be your franchise quarterback, but he basically, and I think this was perfectly said. I seen it on Twitter where someone was like, Daniel Jones got paid to piggyback off the back of Saquon Barkley. And that's exactly what he did. I mean, in 6 years, now this is going to sound crazy, but I'm just going to bring it to your attention. He has played 1 healthy season, which was 2022, which you missed 1 game, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He has played 1 healthy season in going into 6 years. He has not had a season with more than 3,500 yards passing going into 6 years. He's also only had one season, which was his rookie year, with more than 20 touchdown passes going into 6 years. And you can say, okay, well, what would the numbers look like if he didn't get hurt? I mean, I still don't think if he plays a full season, we're talking about 25, 26, 27 touchdowns from Daniel Jones. Not at all. He literally got carried to the playoffs by Saquon Barkley. They went and they beat the Vikings against if we want to go with the narrative, against a Kirk Cousins led team that obviously can never do anything in the playoffs. Like that's
their defense was terrible too.
I think they statistically had one of the worst defenses in all of football that year. So for Daniel Jones, I mean, you're going into your 6th year and you are making rookie mistakes. The one, and when you pull up the clip, we'll see it. The one where he is in the like kind of between, do I take the safety or do I throw the ball away? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't understand. But every time I watch Daniel Jones, it takes me back to that Tiki Barber clip where he's like, I think there's 100 Americans right now. If you ask 100 Americans right now or something like that, Daniel Jones or Dak Prescott, they're all saying Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Where there's 100 Americans that will fail a drug test if they got drug tested for a job. Because there's literally no way you watch Daniel Jones play football and you watch Dak Prescott play football and you're just like, I like Daniel Jones. Statistically, and hear me out, this is crazy. Dak Prescott's worst year when he led the league with 15 interceptions was actually tying Daniel Jones' best year he's ever had in 2019.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And that's the crazy part too, is his best season, and this is scary. Best year came in his rookie year, where he had 24 touchdowns, 12 picks. Now, 12 picks was a career high. 24 touchdowns was the most he's ever thrown. He hasn't sniffed 20 touchdowns since. That's the biggest problem. He's entering year number 6, and you have to go all the way back to year 1 where you can legitimately say, man, this guy was not dominated, but he was really good. He was playing really well. I mean, 2022, like you said, very good season, got to the playoffs. And I was on board, and I will admit, I thought he finally showed something that year. His, pocket presence was a little bit better. The offensive line got a little bit better. Like it actually showed, because his first couple seasons, bad coaching, bad offensive line play, no weapons. 2022 was the first time he actually had a coach. He actually had some pieces around him, not even just on the field, but he had pieces around him from a coaching staff perspective that could help him out. He was actually in a system that could maybe, work. Joe Judge, all that nonsense, that was a disaster. So you maybe want to give him a little bit of a pass there, but you thought, okay, Dable had found something in him because you saw what Dable found in Josh Allen. You're thinking, okay, here, he could take a jump. But even that year, they gave him $40 million. He threw 15 touchdowns. 15 touchdown passes he threw. Now, he ran for 7, so he had 22 total touchdowns. But, like, are we serious? 15 touchdowns? That was his probably, I guess, most people would say his best year. It earned him the contract. They got to the playoffs, won a playoff game. 2019 was, of course, he stepped in for Eli after the first couple games. Had a couple really good games where he played well, even though the Giants weren't very good. You saw progress, but I'll say this. I never liked Daniel Jones coming out of college. I never did. You even watch him at Duke. He was never very impressive. He always kind of felt like a very low ceiling guy. Very low ceiling. He just doesn't have a ton of natural talent, really. I don't know. You don't love the arm. I know he's got some mobility, but to me, he just is he's boring. He's a boring quarterback. Daniel Jones will never, ever, ever lead this team or any team anywhere. Never. And never. I mean, he won one playoff game. That was it, against a terrible defense in Minnesota. And come on now. We like you said, we know how, as much as we like the Falcons, we know how Kirk Cousins led teams tend to be in the playoffs, right? We know how that usually works. And then they went into Philly, and he looked like a lost puppy.
And just kind of to even go further on your point back at him in college, that is what I absolutely hate about just, I guess you can say, scouting a player sometimes and we've talked about this too. We've talked about it with I think it was Justin Herbert, where everyone's looking at, okay, what can this player be? Here's the possibility, and not what the player actually is. And that was a Daniel Jones thing. You look at this like 6'4" quarterback with a pretty decent arm that is mobile, and you just think the sky's the limit. And, oh my goodness, like this guy is going to be amazing when he gets in the NFL. But then you look at him at Duke, and like Duke wasn't really that good.
No,
he wasn't really that good.
No.
So there's nothing that showed you. And I mean, we can argue this with like Mitch Trubisky. That's a little, I know I'm getting a little off track, but that's just another example of where you see a guy in college that you think is like, okay, well, there's so much potential, not that much experience. You put him in the NFL and they just look completely different. And that is Daniel Jones. But I think you said it perfectly. This team will never go anywhere with Daniel Jones as the starting quarterback. He is not the franchise quarterback. And if not this year, next year, which I honestly think is going to be this year, he will no longer be a quarterback for the New York Giants. And I know I sent you the Shedeur Sanders thing, and it's so bad to the point they're already looking ahead to just getting him out of there. So, I know we argue maybe the Broncos, maybe the Chargers being the worst team in football, but 2 preseason games that absolutely showed you the Giants are going to suck.
Yeah.
And they're already kind of in the market for a quarterback. So, I mean, I don't know. It sucks to suck for them, I guess you can say.
Yeah. No, yeah, I totally agree. And, you know, I don't know. I think this goes back to Dable. Dable really wanted, if you watch the Hard Knocks, Dable really wanted a quarterback. He really wanted a quarterback. You could even tell when they're like, we're rolling with Daniel. Dable's face was like, oh my God, no way. You know, it looked like he liked Drake May, like Jaden Daniels. And that's the whole thing, you two. You can't sit here and tell me that the Giants trust Daniel Jones when they were actively trying to trade up. They approached the Patriots about, you know, the Patriots didn't approach them. Like, they approached the Patriots. They really like Jaden Daniels. Dable really liked Jaden Daniels. But yeah, even going back to his college numbers, 16 touchdowns. His first year, 9 picks. Okay. 2017, 12 touchdowns, 11 picks. That's not good. That's not good. And in his final year, 17 touchdowns, 7 picks. That does not pop out at all. Now, I know some of it was the whole Eli Manning connection, that he had some say into it, but it's just, you know,
even go on, what was Duke's record every year with Daniel Jones as the starting quarterback? Just out of curiosity.
I don't think it was very good. I mean, Duke football wise has not been very good for very long time.
Never been really.
2016 they went 4-8. That was his first freshman year. 2017 they went 6-6, made the Quick Lane Bowl. They beat Northern Illinois. 2018, all right, they went 7-5. They beat Temple in the Independence Bowl. Daniel Jones did throw for 423 yards in that game. But come on, we're talking about Daniel Jones against Temple, Daniel Jones against Northern Illinois, and then making a jump to the NFL. I didn't like the draft pick at first. I never did. I still don't like it now. But here were the 2 interceptions from yesterday. So we'll throw the first one up here on screen. And then we'll throw the second one afterwards. I think the first one's worse, but here.
On Barkley anymore in New York, so he'll get a lot of carries. Jones in some trouble in the end zone, and it's intercepted, and a touchdown! Jalen Petrie for 6, and the Texans grab the lead.
That's a rookie mistake in year 6. I mean, that is terrible. He had the guy in the flat. He should have just threw it to him first. You can't take a sack in the end zone like that. And then he does a last minute ditch effort to try and throw it away. And Jalen Petrie with the pick 6. Here's the second one. Not as bad, but a bad throw and into the arms of Stingley.
Jones with the blitz coming late, looking down the sideline, and it's intercepted! Second pick of the day, thrown by Jones. Derek Stingley, who had one in the hands earlier, squeezes this one to take it away for the Texans.
I'll tell you what, that's a play that not too many guys can make. One of the best analysts in the game, to my right, John Harris, said that he may have the best hands on the field, including wide receivers, and he showed it right there.
And that is why Shadur Sanders is already photoshopped into a Giants uniform.
Just in the second one, you have Odell Beckham on the field and you somehow don't complete the pass. I don't get it. Obviously a troll there. Anyways, in that case, in that one, the second one's not as bad, but you throw that ball to where only Jalen Hyatt can possibly go get it, which should be the back pylon, and just hopefully he comes out with the ball. But you underthrow it, and Jalen Hyatt had him beat, and you underthrow it. The safety was nowhere near, and you underthrow it. They're rookie mistakes, just rookie mistakes. I don't know. I'm lost for words. It's just I always see it. I know you dealt with it last year with Rodgers getting hurt, and then I deal with it every day, just sports media and stuff. I don't know why people think you can just go and just grab a quarterback off the street, out the draft. They're going to instantly just come in and just be a complete franchise changer when you are still kind of working on a guy that's going into 6 years who obviously isn't the answer and can't seem to just put it all together. And I don't think he ever will. So for a lot of people, when you were I'm not just talking about Cowboys fans, I'm just talking about in general. When you're kind of doubting your quarterback play and you're just you think there's a lot out there, go look at Zach Wilson play football last year. Go look at Daniel Jones since he's been in the league, and then come back and kind of realize like maybe getting a quarterback isn't as easy as we think.
Yeah. No, yeah, 100%. And now you start to wonder with the Giants about, like, does he even start? I still think he will start, although there's a lot of fans that start to question, Tommy DeVito. Drew Lock stinks. Drew Lock's looked terrible in camp and last week in the preseason games, and now he's hurt. So I think the next man up would probably be DeVito. But here's the thing with the Giants. You look at the way their season is, you look at the way their schedule is specifically, they can't afford to lose their first 2 games right out of the gate. They can't afford to throw Daniel Jones out there and have him struggle, or else their season's going to be lost. Forget about it. Because you look at their schedule. They get Minnesota week 1 in Washington. As bad as the Giants probably will be, those are 2 winnable games, right? 2 winnable games. You get the Vikings at home. We'll get to them here in a little bit with J.J. McCarthy. I think Darnold will have an all right year. I think has a chance to kind of revive his career a little bit. But, the Vikings, they're beatable no matter which way. And you get them at home too. They're beatable. And then Washington, one team that Daniel Jones has dominated in his career is the Washington Commanders. And I know they're a lot better, but Daniel Jones has had success against the Commanders. Not many other teams, but he has had success against them. So those are the first 2 games, both winnable games. If Daniel Jones has performances like this in those games, season's over, because then you got to go on the road in Cleveland. Then you have Dallas, on the road Seattle, Cincinnati, Eagles, Pittsburgh. Your next winnable stretch would be Washington and then Carolina before your bye week. If you lose the first 2 games, the Giants legitimately might be a 2-win team by their bye week. Seriously.
Well,
I mean, where do you see with this quarterback play, they get a win? Cleveland, Dallas, Seattle, Cincy, Philly, Pittsburgh. Even Pittsburgh, as bad as they've been offensively so far, on the road in Pittsburgh, no chance Daniel Jones survives that.
Well, even to your point of Washington, I mean, that's the old Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
We're talking about Dan Quinn now, who has absolutely made Daniel Jones' life like a living hell since he was the coordinator over in Dallas calling the defense. And obviously we see Daniel Jones couldn't do anything with that whatsoever. So not the same players, not the same speed. But what's going to be the difference in Washington? I think Dan Quinn has Daniel Jones figured out. And I think a lot of us have him figured out. Let's blitz him, hit him a few times, make him uncomfortable. He starts to make mistakes. And I think that is what a lot of teams are going to do. And I mean, even for Minnesota as well, which is another winnable one, you just need to get pressure on him. You get enough pressure on him, knock him around a few times, he will get uncomfortable and start making bonehead decisions. I honestly, I don't know if it's crazy, but there's a good chance they are sitting at 0-7, 0-8, unless somebody slips up along the road. But there's a very good chance up until Carolina, they don't even up until Carolina, they don't even win a game. That means losing to Washington twice in the process.
Oh, yeah, and that's the whole thing is if Daniel Jones plays like this, I mean, And I know people might be like, "Oh, you're overreacting to preseason." Number one, we've seen this out of Daniel Jones, but that's the sad part. This is the preseason. Starting quarterbacks they don't look this bad in the preseason. They just don't. So yeah, if Daniel Jones looks like this, forget about Minnesota game, forget about Washington, forget about their season. That's where you would enter the territory if they probably win. I don't know,
3 games,
3-4 games.
maybe.
Let's say you beat Washington. Let's say you beat Carolina. You have New Orleans. They're probably beatable. And then you get Philly the last week of the season. Maybe you get them sitting their starters and you win that game like they did last year. Well, they didn't beat them sitting their starters. Philly was just terrible down the stretch. But maybe you win that game. So 4-13. I mean, that's and the Giants got a tough break with their schedule. They're also just not very good. So they're not much very better. They're not really better than any of these teams. Even some of these teams like Seattle that might be average or a little bit above average, not better than the Giants. And that's on the road too. Going on the road in Seattle is never easy. So yeah, I think if you're the Giants, you have to have a short leash with Daniel Jones. You have to. Because if not, your season, forget about it. And then you start to look at Brian Dable. It's like, okay, well, you make the playoffs your first year, you win 5 games last year. 6 games. I apologize. 6 games last year. If you win 4 games this year, it's like, okay, what kind of direction are you going in? You go from the playoffs to 6 wins to 5 wins or to 4 wins, whatever. So it's tough, and that's why the Giants wanted to avoid all this and take a quarterback, draft a quarterback. They didn't. You even wonder at this point if the Giants regret, like even just taking Penix. Let's just say, like you really wonder if they regret not having a rookie in that room right now.
I think so. There's no hope for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know Neighbors looks great, but Neighbors is going to go only as far as Daniel Jones goes. I've learned that. I've seen that from Garrett Wilson. He's awesome. He's had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons somehow, but there's so many times over the last 2 years where Garrett Wilson's running wide open and Zach Boyle, Simeon, whatever clown was out there didn't see him. That's going to be the same situation. So anyway, that's the Giants. Now we move on here to improved, better quarterback play. And that's with the rookies. I'll be honest, and I'll ask you this, I guess, right away here. I don't remember a rookie class looking this impressive in their first 2 weeks of the preseason. Maybe it's just me just living in the moment and not really totally remembering what every rookie did in the preseason over the last couple of years. But like I even just remember last year watching CJ Stroud's first preseason game against the Patriots. And not that I was disappointed, but I wasn't impressed. Not that he played bad, but I wasn't like, man, this guy's going to be really, really good. This rookie quarterback class, whether it's Jaden Daniels, whether it's what Drake May did this week, whether it's Caleb Williams, which we'll start with, is extremely impressive so far. We'll start with Caleb Williams. I mean, yesterday, I know you look at the numbers, right? 6 of 13, not exactly a great completion percentage, but if you look at the box score, it's like not as impressive, but you look at some of these plays, you look at his rushing touchdown. What a day for Caleb Williams and the Bears as well. 27-3. I know it's only preseason, but they're 3-0. They're 3-0. Got to give it to them.
Yeah, I know I probably blew up your Twitter yesterday with some Caleb Williams clips, but I'm watching that game live and I'm just like, this is crazy. You can see the potential of how good he can really be. And I know a lot of the hype around him and a lot of the talk around him was like, okay, can he be similar to Mahomes or like Mahomes? And before anyone chews my head off, some of the plays that he's making is very Mahomes-like, where he's not the most athletic, he's not the fastest guy, but it's just the ability to keep his eyes downfield, move around the pocket, dance in the pocket, and extend and make something happen. I mean, I think the play or a few plays right before that touchdown, I could have my sequences mixed up, but a few plays right before the touchdown, he had one very similar to how it went, kind of dancing in the pocket, making some room, sideline, sidearm to Rome Odunze back in the end zone, who kind of just forgot where he was on the field. But if Rome Odunze is 3 inches inside, that's a Mahomes-like play. That is a crazy play. But just for a rookie, and I was telling my dad this yesterday when I called him, just to see a rookie step in and just kind of have that awareness and have that composure in your first few games, you don't really see it that often. And I know my dad made a great point. It's like, well, you know, defenses aren't showing you everything, and you're not playing all the starters.
Yeah.
But just comparison, like I hate to say it again, but look at Daniel Jones. Look at like Taylor Heineke, who's been in the league for quite some time, and now you look at Caleb Williams. And if you lined the three of them up and just went out, walked the street, it was like, hey, which one of these is a rookie quarterback? You want to think it's Caleb Williams because he's playing just that well. And I think they're going to be fun. I think they are going to be really good if he stays healthy and just continue on the trajectory of like, let me not force anything. Let the game come to me and kind of just go out there and freestyle like I did at USC, just cut back on the turnovers. They're going to be pretty good. And he still, again, furthered my point yesterday. That is my offensive rookie of the year at this moment.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you in terms of the Mahomes stuff. I know it might be a little early to compare him to Mahomes and stuff, but I'm not even gonna lie. If I was a Bears fan, I'd be so excited. I mean, I'm not. Bears fans have every right to, I guess, if you want to say overreact, fine. They have every right. Not only have they have some terrible quarterback play recently, they of course have not been very, very good the last many years, or really the last decade. From the Trubisky era, which fell on its face, Justin Fields era, which really fell on its face right from the start. And now to get Caleb Williams new life to that franchise, and also all these other pieces they've added, they have every right to be excited. And I have two clips here that from Caleb Williams yesterday. You talk about the play to Odunze, beautiful, beautiful play, rolling out of the pocket. I mean, just on the run, crossed his body, just dime. And what I love too about Caleb Williams is not only just these highlights, but it's who he's getting the ball to. Last week he had a couple plays where he was able to get the ball to DJ Moore. This week was able to get the ball to Rome Odunze. I love that because he wants, and I know DJ Moore this week only had one target, didn't have a catch, but he's getting his playmakers involved. He's building that chemistry, building up that connection with Rome Odunze, two rookies that are going to learn and grow together. And I really like that out of a rookie quarterback, already recognizing I'm going to look for my playmakers. Let me look for DJ Moore. Let me look for Rome Odunze. And I think that's something too that will kind of get lost in the shuffle. Everybody talks about the highlights, but just that mindset, obviously how he's processing is really positive. So here was his throw to Odunze, one of his many highlights yesterday.
He's looking downfield, nothing there. Spins away, throws on the move. It is caught! Rome Odunze connects with his fellow rookie.
Just a beautiful, beautiful throw. And I'll say this. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't as high on Caleb Williams as many other were. To me, it was just, I just hated some of it was nothing against Caleb Williams. To me, I just hate all the Patrick Mahomes comparisons. And we're not calling him Patrick Mahomes, but he looks good as advertised. He looks as good as advertised. If he does this in the regular season, the Bears are going to win a lot of games. And then here was the other play. I think this was one of the more Mahomes-esque plays as well, where he was bouncing around the pocket, couldn't find anybody, turning around a couple times, ended up rolling out and doing some damage with his legs. He found the end zone.
Williams, pressure coming. He felt it. Looked, saw it, evaded it. Still on the move, looking around. Williams is going to take off for the end zone. It's like it's its own playground.
So another great play there as well. And also very just his, I don't know how to word it, but his mind, his ability to process things so far right now is so impressive. If you watch the end of that play where he's rolling out just about it, many rookies would probably force that and try and get it to one of the two receivers in front of him, force it probably incompletion or touchdown. He recognized, you know what? I've got an offensive lineman trailing to my right. He's ahead of me. I'm going to have some room, and I've got a lane. I've got about 5 yards. Let me trust my legs. Let me trust my athleticism as instead of off-balance throw with a receiver that's not really open in two defenders, So very smart. I mean, any other thoughts? I mean, he looks great. Through 2 games. 170 yards, a rushing touchdown, 10 of 20, 50 completion percentage. Again, completion percentage isn't as pretty as everything else, but that'll come. And I mean, He's almost thrown for 200 yards in 2 games, which is very good for the preseason considering they don't play the whole game. That's something else that, of course, disclaimer as well.
And just that wasn't the Roman Dunze completion I was talking about. There was another one. I think it was the play right before the rushing touchdown, which again rolled out kind of similar to the rushing touchdown. Rolls out, sees him back corner of the end zone, can't complete it. But just all 3 of those plays being on the same exact drive, like that is incredible. Incredible kind of seems like I'm like just making it seem like it's out of this world. But just like you were saying, it's the composure and it's the awareness of a rookie quarterback. You really don't see that from a rookie quarterback, especially only going into your second preseason game because he didn't even play the first preseason game. So for you to be doing this in 2 preseason games and you are still learning the offense and you're still trying to gel with your guys, I mean, once he gels with everyone, obviously all his receivers, all his weapons, and then he learns how to check in and out of plays and kind of read defenses a little better, we might be in some trouble.
Yeah, no doubt. I totally agree. I mean, and he's another team too. I think you were higher on the Bears than I was probably, but similar to the Falcons, I'm starting to jump on the Bears train a little bit. And again, we'll do our full division predictions, but I don't know. I mean, they're making a case here to maybe finish right behind Detroit. They are. I like Green Bay, and I probably still I like Green Bay, and I probably still go with Green Bay, but Caleb Williams and the Bears are, I mean, they're dominating. I mean, hey, I know it's only preseason, but they're 3-0. Caleb Williams looks great.
They're blowing everybody out in the preseason. That's another thing. So it's not what we're not talking about is the defense, and we don't have to get into that today. But obviously, yes, that is not the starters. But I think I said this last week where you're running the same system that you're going to run in the regular season. Obviously, things aren't going to go as much as the same because you're going to be playing quarterbacks with a lot more experience. So whatever 100%. You throw out against, whoever in the preseason, it's not working against Patrick Mahomes. But for your defense to kind of just be shutting everybody out and you are blowing teams out, not only are you scoring points, but you're giving your defense a comfortable lead and your D coordinator in this situation. A comfortable enough lead. Let's go out there and freestyle. Let's throw a bunch of different looks. Let's put some guys in some different places. So, I mean, I'm not saying yet they are going to jump Detroit unless Detroit just completely collapses and there's some injuries. But I guess a little bit of a teaser, a little bit of a spoiler. I think I'm going to move Chicago up to my number 2 spot in the NFC North.
It's going to be
Green Bay anyways.
Yeah, it'll be like a game. It'll be like a game time decision for me.
Yeah,
as for who's going to be up there, but it's going to be really, really exciting division. And unfortunately, I think it would have been even more exciting if we would have got to see some JJ McCarthy this year after what he did in his preseason debut. But it doesn't look like we'll see that, unfortunately. Other rookies, not named Caleb Williams. I thought Drake May looked good yesterday or Thursday rather. I was glad to see. I think it was smart for the Patriots to go out there and play him with extended reps. This first game, he threw 3 passes, completed 2 of them. I don't really know why they did that. I don't really know what you're getting out of that if you're the New England Patriots, what you're getting out of that if you're Drake May. But much better day on Thursday, 6 of 11, 47 yards. He also found the end zone with his legs, similar to Caleb Williams. He had a rushing touchdown. All 3 top 3 picks have shown off a little rushing ability. Caleb Williams yesterday, Drake May on Thursday, Jaden Daniels last week against the Jets, of course, in his first drive, found the end zone with his legs. So all 3 of them showing a little dual threat ability. But what was your thoughts on Drake May? I still don't understand why they didn't play him a ton last week. I think it's smart to give him as many reps as possible. But I think if you're a Patriots fan, you should be pretty happy with what you saw to Drake May in the couple drives that he played and, of course, finding the end zone.
So I'm not even gonna lie. I did not get a chance to watch Thursday's game, celebrating an anniversary. So not too sure what Drake May did, but I think I looked at the stats, and I think all 4 quarterbacks played again, if I'm correct. Which I don't know. We talked about it last week. I still don't get it, but I'm just hoping, kind of going into their next preseason game, where they let him play a half. I think we've gotten to that point. No more Brissett. No more Bailey Zappi. Let him play a half. Let Joe Milton play a half. And just kind of get a better feel of him. I mean, I don't know how many drives he played, but I still don't think just 11 pass attempts is enough to really get the feel of, okay, well, can this guy possibly start? Will he be the second string backup? Will it be a practice squad? Like you're not really getting enough tape. And obviously they're practicing as well. So they do have kind of that leading up to the games. But this is someone you drafted high, your first round draft pick, and you were expecting him to be the starter, and you're just not playing him a lot whatsoever. Like it doesn't really make sense to me whatsoever. But I probably definitely have to go back and rewatch that game like NFL Plus to see what Drake May brought. But from what you're saying, it sounds like he stepped in. He didn't do too much, but he did just enough to get a decent evaluation. But
Yeah.
other than that, I don't know the situation with Brissett and Zappy, but it sounds like Drake May kind of starting to, get his feet, kind of catch his feet a little bit, kind of get comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Seems like it's still a quarterback competition over there with May and Brissett. Gerard Mayo seems to keeping it open to, whoever they feel performs best. I will say Joe Milton came back down to earth. I said last week, Joe Milton's my overreaction of the week last week was Joe Milton's the Patriots' future. Now Joe Milton should get cut. I'm just kidding. But
Whoa.
no, I'm just kidding. He went 207 for 20 yards, so not exactly very good outing for him. 2 sacks he took as well. Passer rating of 39.6, but I still think Joe Milton's the future. That's my overreaction of preseason football. Also, Washington, Jayden Daniels. Not only just yesterday's game, but overall, how have you? What do you like from Jayden Daniels? What have been your thoughts on what you've seen? I like what I've seen from Jayden Daniels. He's been very efficient. He's been the most efficient out of all 3 top quarterbacks. We look at Caleb Williams. We talked about the completion percentages and as high. You look at Drake May, kind of a little skewed his numbers because he hasn't played much. He's only thrown 14 passes, but he's got a 57.1% completion percentage. As for Jayden Daniels, he's completed 80% of his passes. He only has 3 incompletions in 2 games. 2 of 3 against the Jets, 10 of 12 against the Dolphins yesterday. Total, he's 12 of 15, 80% completion percentage, 123 yards and a rushing touchdown. What have been your thoughts on Jayden Daniels through 2 weeks? Been very, very impressed with, I think, what I've seen from him. And, I not that I think the Commanders are going to be very, very dominant this year. I'm not saying that, but I think if you're a Commanders fan, you've got to start to build some excitement. Jayden Daniels is, I think, a little bit better than maybe even I thought from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's been the efficiency. And like you just said, 80% of your passes in the preseason, I mean, that's crazy. We often see a lot of rookies sometimes want to get out there and absolutely sling the ball, or we see them get out there and they're scared to throw the ball. And everything is kind of checked down. And, let me throw my safest route. Let me throw my safest option. But he's not scared. He's not scared to throw the ball. And kind of like you were saying with Caleb Williams he is fine. He's finding the target and trying to build the trust with the guys around him. And I mean, we talked about it where weapons wise, they are not the best when it comes to weapons. You got McLaurin, who we still think isn't the best wide receiver 1, but you don't have the best of weapons. Even Dan Quinn kind of came out and was like, our wide receiver 2 spot is still open for grabs. So it's not like you have a lot of solid options to throw the ball to, but the fact that you are getting the ball out your hands, getting it to your playmakers, moving the ball down the field, and just not looking like a rookie, staying composed, making good decisions. I think that's a good sign for Commanders fans. I don't think they're going to obviously make the playoffs. They're going to finish 3rd in the division, and you're not going to be any worse than the Giants. But I think from the playoffs, the preseason, and then kind of whatever these 17 regular season games give you, you might be able to look at Daniel Jones. Yeah, Daniel Jones too. You might be able to look at Daniel Jones and be like, all right, thank God we got Jayden Daniels. Can't be that bad. But you're going to be able to look at Jayden Daniels and just kind of know you are headed in the right direction and all is good once you get a solid offensive line, a younger running back, more efficient running backs, and more efficient wide receivers. I think Washington's going to be pretty fun. They're going to sneak up on a few teams. Definitely. I think we said maybe 5 or 6. They might win a few games.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. I mean, the Giants might finish in last.
They're finishing last. They're
For
finishing
a little
last.
while there, I was thinking the Giants would still finish in third, but they seriously might finish in last. I mean, they've got the worst quarterback probably in the division.
The Giants, and I think it's a three-way fight. It's like a free-for-all. Giants, Broncos, and Chargers. Like let's just see all who can be the worst team in football this year.
Yep. Yeah. It's going to be a battle. And the Panthers. I think still have to throw the Panthers in there.
Yeah.
They'll be better, but I don't know how much better. I mean, I don't know. I still don't know what we're going to see out of Bryce Young. I think it would have been smart to play Bryce Young in either of these preseason games. I don't think he showed you enough last year to just sit out the preseason, but obviously Dave Canales in that front office feels the need to not play him, I guess. One unfortunate note is J.J. McCarthy tearing his meniscus. He's done for the year. So now it's full-on Sam Darnold time, which isn't much of a surprise. Like, we knew Sam Darnold was probably going to start, but unfortunately you won't see J.J. McCarthy at all this year. If there was a coach that could probably get the most out of Sam Darnold, probably be Kevin O'Connell, just because of what he was able to do last year in the couple of games with, of course, Josh Dobbs, where he didn't know the playbook, he didn't practice, they went out there and won. So I think if some Vikings fans are like, oh, the season's over, I don't know how good the Vikings would have been either way, but I do think some people have, like, McCarthy wasn't going to start, but the biggest unfortunate part of this all is what he looked like in his first preseason game. So what was your thoughts on the McCarthy news? And then now it's the keys are with Sam Darnold.
I kind of feel bad for the Vikings just as a whole. Like, they've had some very, very, very unfortunate.
Right?
It's been a very bad kind of off-season transition into regular season. Just a lot going on in Minnesota, but it also sucks too because McCarthy looked so promising, and I know I've often joked about how him kind of stepping in like he's not going to do anything. Like, I called him the Brock Purdy who meditates, but he looked very good in his first preseason game. And he looked like, well, this is not what we drafted him to be. And I mean, you might kind of understand where I'm coming from when I say this, but when they drafted him, I felt like it was we're not expecting you to come in and just be this absolute highlight reel and come in and just, completely just take over the league by storm, but kind of just step in and be good enough to keep us competitive because we have so many weapons for you to choose from. And he showed that in the first preseason game. But now you are stuck with Sam Darnold, not saying that in a bad way, but like if Darnold completely stinks it up, and we've mentioned this before, if Darnold completely stinks it up or he gets hurt, do you rely on, I believe it's Jaren Hall? Like, do you throw Jaren Hall in there to try to,
Nick Mullins too.
Or Nick Mullins? Yeah, like which option do you have? At least McCarthy kind of gave you that backup option where if Darnold does go down or Darnold just absolutely just looks bad, we have someone that can fall back where not only we trust you to come in and play, but also you can show us why you are the future. Now they don't have that. He misses a whole year, which sucks for him as well. But at the same time, that is more chance for him to probably learn the playbook, get more familiar with some other things. But it sucks. Jefferson looked so happy with J.J. McCarthy like last preseason game, and I know he probably was looking forward to playing with him. Now you don't get that, but hopefully for Sam Darnold, you got to trust your weapons.
Yeah, and 100%. I feel for Vikings. I feel for the Vikings fans. I feel for McCarthy. He looked really, really good, and I think too. What stinks about the Vikings is it's just so it's delayed now. Everything's delayed an entire year because this year you knew was going to be kind of a reset, retool year. You probably played Darnold early on and then go to J.J. McCarthy at some point in the season. Now you're not going to see any of J.J. McCarthy, and you have to wait an entire year. And then you kind of, how do you approach next year? Do you start McCarthy right away? Do you go along that same plan? I mean, he'll have an entire year now to sit. I assume he would start right away, but look, it's a great opportunity for Sam Darnold because, he's still trying to revive his career. Didn't really do a whole lot with Carolina as a starter. Of course, was mainly a backup in San Francisco. Didn't do a whole lot with the playing time he got there, the limited playing time. So now he gets a chance. If Darnold goes out there and has a really good season, let's say the Vikings win 8-9 games, which I think would probably be an overachievement in many people's eyes. Maybe he gets a chance to go play elsewhere. So an opportunity for him. But yeah, I mean, I think it would have been the Vikings would have been one of these fun, exciting kind of teams where McCarthy at the end of the year, if he was playing, they could have won some games. But you would have saw, I think, a lot of good. You would have saw like a younger quarterback, not a younger team, but you would have saw a team at least looking promising for the future. And now you have to kind of put that on complete delay. So that's unfortunate. But that's pretty much it from a rookie quarterback perspective, because you have Bo Nix and the Broncos playing tonight against the Packers. You also have the Niners against the Saints. As for some other quick notes, we got to talk about this Patrick Mahomes play, because this was just crazy. Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce behind the back. Here it was. And I also think this might be a message to, I don't know. Never mind. Did Mahomes there? Here it is. Here's the clip.
There's nothing to say. There's nothing to say.
Mahomes keeps it, goes behind the back. Kelsey's got it for the first down. How do you like that?
Well, they talked about it in practice this week, and Mahomes even talked about the fact that he said Andy wants him to do it in a game. Well, guess what? Here it is. Behind the back flip to Travis Kelce for the first down. Now all of a sudden it's another thing for defenses to worry about.
We've seen a lot of football games. It's not often you see something you...
All right. Carson Wentz in a Chiefs uniform just does not look normal. Did you pick that up at the end? I did not even know Carson Wentz. No way they threw Carson Wentz in that video. Like nobody was going to notice.
I did not notice Carson Wentz in that video. Wow. Okay.
You know what? I'm telling you. I don't have the script, but I'm going to predict. The Carson Wentz, the Chiefs, AFC divisional round, whatever it is, they're going to do that play. Mahomes going to throw it behind his back in a playoff game, and it's going to be like a 4th and 1. He's going to throw it behind his back. And I'm telling you, that's going to happen this year. It 100% is going to happen.
Oh man, I don't know. I actually watched that live. I was quite impressed. I don't even know impressed is the word. Just I think about the Chiefs over the years. Like I feel like they just sit in practice. There's no practice going on whatsoever. Actual football practice. I think they all just sit around in a huddle like crisscross applesauce. They're like, what's a bunch of things we probably shouldn't do in the game, but we're going to do it anyways. And they go out and do it. I mean, Mahomes goes behind the back. Travis Kelce just hooks and ladder whenever he wants to. Just let me catch it, just pitch the ball. Like, just in the middle of the field with a bunch of defenders around. You might remember the ring around the rosy against the Raiders. I think was that last year or the year before. They just go out there and freestyle and just do a bunch of stuff you probably shouldn't do. I don't know. It's I don't know. I really don't have nothing to say. Goodness.
It's backyard football. That's what it is. It's backyard football. So it's crazy. Steelers offense didn't look good at all. I think you got to be a little concerned if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I think I don't know. They just don't. They scored 3 points yesterday. Scored 12 points today. I know Fields did a couple things yesterday that maybe some fans are okay with, impressed with, 11 and 17, 92 yards. Russ, I didn't think did a whole lot. He got sacked 3 times. The offensive line hasn't looked very good. So there's some concerns there. And of course, the Hassan Reddick situation, requesting a trade, which of course is frustrating, just annoying as a Jets fan. Very, very annoying, very frustrating. This is such a same old Jets type of moment. You trade for a guy, doesn't even, if I go, I could run on when a fan, right, could go to a practice, Jets practice. They could run onto the field. They could streak the practice field, and they would have touched the Florham Park grass more than Hassan Reddick. You know?
I was just about to ask, like, is he even in attendance? Like, when you're there, is he just completely just not showing up?
He's not there. He's not doing a holding. Not doing a hold. He's
Even-
just not showing up.
All right, even the Jets. Now, hear me out. You know, I don't want this to be our last time on air from what I'm about to say. So I'm going to thread caution here. But you might agree. Usually the ideal or the plan is we are going to trade for a guy, and immediately when we trade for him, we are going to extend him. We traded for him because we want him and we are willing to pay him. So what was the point of trading for him, especially with an exchange? It wasn't basically Bryce Huff went over to the Eagles and Hassan Reddick, which wasn't really like a direct trade, but that's what it seemed like. It was really just a player swap. So what was the point of trading for Hassan Reddick, knowing the reason he wanted out of Philly was contract reasons, to bring him over to not sign him? Like, that kind of should have been the thing with his agent. And even the agent might be to blame here. I don't know how all of it goes, like, you know, on the back end, but it kind of should have been like, hey, look, we're trading for Hassan. This is the deal we have in place. We want him. And Hassan agrees to that deal, and that's how it goes. He comes over to the Jets, gets the contract extension, pen to paper, all is good. But you bring him over just for nothing, basically, at this point, because he's not on the field. So, I mean, he's not learning the system, the defensive system. So what is he there for right now? He's really there for no reason.
Well, that's the frustrating part is nobody, this doesn't happen to anybody. You look at the Giants with Brian Burns, right? They went out and traded for him, and they got the contract done right away. Danielle Hunter with the Texans, similar situation. This is I can't recall a time where this has happened, where a team traded for a player who requested a trade because of a contract. He goes to that team, then requests another trade just like 3-4 months later. And that's the frustrating part is according to a lot of reports from the Jets angle, you really haven't heard a ton from Hassan Reddick's angle, but from the Jets angle, it was all about the Jets and Hassan Reddick had a handshake agreement that coming from Philly, he would practice and all that stuff. And then once he practiced and played some games and proved himself, the Jets would convert some non-guarantees into guarantees and boost up his contract with incentives and all that stuff. I don't know if it was them trading JFM and him realizing he has a bigger role, whatever it was. Somewhere along that line, Hassan Reddick, from the Jets angle, broke that promise, broke that agreement. But I still have a tough time believing that, though, because he was playing for his hometown favorite team, right? He went to Temple. He grew up just outside the Philly area. He was playing for a team in the Eagles that has a real good chance at potentially, they revamp their defense. They'll be in the conversation this year, we all know. Why would he go to the Jets and be like, oh, I don't need a new contract? He wanted a new contract in Philly. That's why he asked out. Why would he now go to the Jets and be like, oh, no, I'm with the Jets now. I'm with a plus organization. I want to be a part of Robert Sala's great culture that he has built here. Like, no, there's no way that's the truth from that. So I see both sides of it. And I see the Reddick side where it's like, it's a lose-lose for him. Just show up. You haven't even played a snap. And I also see the Jets angle of not wanting to pay him because they got other guys that they want to pay. DJ Reed, Michael Carter, Tyler Conklin, other guys that have been here, played well, proven themselves. They're going to want contracts. So it's frustrating. It's just annoying because everything's been going right. Knock on wood. They've been healthy. Rodgers has looked good. And this is just, we've kind of flown under the radar a little bit. No hard knocks, none of that. And here we are. It's just very, very annoying. Like, this didn't need to happen. So, but that's where we are. And I don't know. It's going to get ugly because now I start to wonder, is he going to show up in football shape? When he shows up, is he in football shape? He doesn't. And this is different too. There's people out there that are saying, oh, well, Chris Jones last year held out. Then he came back. Nick Bosa held out. Then he came back. It's different. Those guys already played. Jones already knew the locker room. He already knew the system. He was with the Chiefs. Bosa, same thing with the Niners. This is completely different. If Reddick shows up the week of the Niners game, he shows up he shows up 2 weeks from this Monday, when after the final week of training, if he shows up the week of the Niners game and says, I'm here, I'm ready to play, who knows? Because he doesn't know the system. He doesn't have any chemistry with his teammates. He's not really, doesn't know the locker room. And what kind of football shape is he in? It's totally different. So it's so annoying. And the Jets, look, now Jets fans start to downplay, Hassan Reddick. We don't need Hassan Reddick. Please. I totally disagree with that. You lost JFM, you lost Bryce Huff. You can't sit here and tell me Will McDonald and Michael Clemens are going to fill the shoes of Hassan Reddick. It's not. As much of a frustrating situation it is, the Jets still need Reddick. And Reddick needs the Jets. He can't hold out because then the Jets have his rights for 2025. And you look at the Le'Veon Bell situation, how that panned out. He can't afford to hold out. So it's just annoying. What gets resolved first, CeeDee Lamb or Reddick?
I don't know. I mean, reports from Dallas are they offered him, I think, $33 million, and he's like, nah. So I don't know. I mean, very similar situation. Not similar, but Jerry Jones, I don't know what to say about that guy. I mean, I think I said this to you last time, and I know I keep saying it every time I bring up the situation, but I think it was the Lions game where CD broke the franchise record. Whatever game that was, where CD broke the single season franchise record. I wouldn't have even waited to that following Monday. I would have pulled CD from the locker room, shoulder pads, everything still on. Let's sign this contract right here. I would have been Jerry. I'd have pulled him in my limo and hey, let's sign this contract. I would have pulled a pin from my suit pocket. I don't know. We'd have got that contract done as soon as he broke that single season record. Yeah. But no, that's not how it worked. So I don't know. I mean, I think CD might get done first. Just if you have watched any Cowboys preseason, the defense and the offense had the same amount of touchdowns, if you were curious. So yeah. We That's are nothing. It's not good. It's last night they scored 2 touchdowns. The offense had 1, and they had a pick 6.
Hear me out. Trey Lance, Carson Beck, quarterback competition, Cowboys 2025 training camp.
I probably would have already ordered a Caleb Williams jersey by then. Like, all things Dallas Cowboys would have been burnt and evaporated from my existence. So that'd be a them problem. Because if CeeDee Lamb is gone, I'm done. I mean, if Dak is done, I'm done. But if both of them are done, I'm definitely done. I'm just gonna pick a new team.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. Just gut feeling. I think CeeDee Lamb gets done first.
I hope so. I mean, for both teams, the ideal is let's just go ahead and get them signed, get them back in the building to be ready for week 1. Like, it's not like you can just turn a switch on and off, be conditioned, and be ready to go by week 1. So let's hope for both cases. Both guys are ready to go, but our front offices are, I don't know. Oh, man.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
just the deep sighs. That's it.
Yeah, it's gotta love off season. Gotta love training camp drama. Anyway, any closing thoughts?
That's all. Let's get ready for tonight's games.
Yep. So that'll do it. We'll be back next week for episode 26, recapping preseason week 3, and it'll be done. And then all eyes are set on the regular season. And yeah. So make sure to please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next week.